Okay, so well, hello everyone. The idea today was essentially to get together with Ivan and discuss kind of like the roster of 2XKO in the future. The idea was doing this together to kind of like share, as a community, the conversation around the characters that could make into the game, and also to make something fun, something unique around 2XKO as a game, maybe in the content space. And well, for anybody that doesn't know, he makes a ton of content around 2XKO and other tag fighting games as well. But he makes amazing guides, character guides, a lot of tips as well, and also a specific like matchup knowledge and many other stuff. So be sure to check out, Ivan's channel. It's going to be very useful if you're trying to learn anything related to 2XKO, okay? And we are going to be essentially doing a format in which each one of us has a character list of 5 picks. And we are going to kind of like show an argument as to why we want each of those characters in the game. Okay, that could be personal or more like logically or argumented, but it's gonna depend on the character, as well. So thank you, Ivan, for agreeing to doing this. And we're gonna start whenever you want. I can give you the first pick, so you're the honor of starting the discussion.
Sure, man. Yeah, thanks for the nice intro. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to go first. Chat already knows it. They know who my first pick is. They're calling it out.
Okay.
I am a Pyke enjoyer. So
Okay.
and I've gone over this many times, but this is the first time you're hearing it. So let me pitch Pyke to you, all right?
Okay, perfect.
So he's slippery boy. He doesn't have the most health, probably like 900, 950 health. I couldn't see it below 950. I think Teemo's the only one right there. But
Yeah.
he likes to do cross-ups, and the idea with it, because of his E in League, he crosses up and leaves that ghost behind. The idea with this is that, like right now, Yasuo is the only one that crosses up on assist, and it's OP. But in my mind, the way to help with that is to let other characters do it as well. So Pyke has an assist that crosses up. It either leaves the ghost behind or doesn't on assist. I don't really care about that part. And then obviously you can tag to him and do whatever. He has his hook, which is the iconic thing in his League kit, where he can tap it just to get like a stab, basically like a shorter ranged Yasuo Hasagi with only 1 hit, not 2 hits. We're not looking to break armor here. We're not looking to replicate Yasuo exactly. And then you can charge it to just make it become like an actual like a blitz hook basically. And then when you're charging it, you can hold down and it'll like make it go up. Because a big thing about his character fantasy is like he charges it and you don't really know where that thing is going or if it's even going to come out or not. So he can cancel it as well into his other special moves, just like he can in League.
Yes.
And then on his W in League makes him go invisible, and I don't really care about that. There's a lot of characters in League that go invisible, and I don't want a bunch of invis characters in 2XKO. I think Teemo is enough, maybe one more, I don't know. So I wouldn't mind if they just put his invis in his ultimate, kind of like Illaoi pool. Like her pool is her ultimate in 2XKO. So it's like I don't really care what they do with it, but that's like my elevator pitch.
Okay. Yeah. The other thing that is super, I know about League as well, and the other thing that I can kind of connect to Pyke is that when you think about the W, like the invisibility stuff, I feel like you can connect it as well to kind of like what an MK ninja character could do. Kind of like when Noob Saibot, for example, does like a teleport. It's not that he goes invincible, it's that the teleport causes like a cross-up situation or something like that. And I feel like the W could also be related to something similar.
Essentially, because so with Akali, she puts down her smoke screen, and then you don't really know where she's at, right? She doesn't actually teleport, but that's how they implemented her smoke screen in her kit in 2XKO, where she just teleports. So it could be something like that as well, where like Pyke goes into his W, his invis, and then you don't know where he's coming out at. Like he could be anywhere. So something like that could definitely work as well.
I like it. I think that Pyke could be great for the game personally as well. Also because, in addition to what you say, the thing about Pyke also is that he's not like a human character. And one of the arguments that for a couple of characters that I have on my list is that they represent like a different aesthetic instead of like characters that are only like actual persons. Because Pyke is more like close to a monster in some way, more than just a regular human.
He's all dressed up in his shark
Yeah.
like shark body parts
Kind
or
of,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I do like the idea. Okay, amazing, good first pick. I personally like it. The first one that I have on my list is Renekton. And well, I have multiple reasons as to why I want Renekton. The first one is kind of like a similar argument to what I was saying, that I would like to have monster characters in the game, not only like human-like characters. And there's a lot of characters in the League, in my opinion, that are some of the coolest, and they are monsters. They are not necessarily humans. And Renekton kind of like fits into that category, and that's one of the reasons why I would like him to make it into the game. The other one is that in the game right now, even though there are like multiple Berserker characters or like big body characters, none of them actually has like mobility based abilities, right? And Renekton has an ability in League in which he essentially has 2 dashes. And the idea in League is that if Renekton dashes through an opponent, he can dash again. And that goes really well with like the sandwich meta of 2xKO, like the typical left-right mix-up situation that the top tiers put you into. And Renekton can have that like in his kit, but at the same time, he doesn't need to be like a super fast character. Is that he kind of like gets access to that when he's already on top of you. You know, I kind of like that idea of playing a big body character that when he's in, he has more mix-up opportunity than maybe a character like Darius or Braum, right, or Illaoi.
Sure.
So that's
like he's as slow as Braum, essentially, is what you're kind of saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, I can take that.
And the other thing about Renekton that I like is that even though he has a similar weapon to Darius, Renekton in League at least, he uses his weapon always like on melee range. He never really uses the weapon as like a poke. It's always like, for example, when Renekton stuns you in League, he's right on top of you. He's not like hitting you with the axe far away, right? And that's another thing that I think is unique about Renekton, that we can add like another weapon-based character, but it's not a poke character. It's just that when he's on top of you, he's more powerful because he has access to maybe the actual weapon instead of like, you know, trying to hit you with pokes from mid-range that don't lead to anything.
Right.
You know? So that's kind
he's
of
got to get in. He doesn't have like a projectile. He doesn't got anything really.
Exactly,
in that
but
sense.
like
I see
if
what you're saying.
the idea of the character is like if he gets in, you're cooked, essentially.
Nice.
And then the other reason why I would really like to put Renekton in the game is that he has his ultimate in League is technically an install, right? He gets bigger and he gets like stats in the game, and there's no install character like in League at the moment at all. I mean, sorry, there's no install character in 2xKO at the moment at all. And I think that's a very cool mechanic in fighting games that you can make really, really unique. So I would personally like to put Renekton into XKO as well because of like the install potential that he can have as a character.
He just gets bigger. He's like half the screen.
Yeah, you could be like a giant for 5 seconds and then you cannot do it in an entire fight or something like that.
Yeah, I can dig that.
So that's my first pick.
Okay. Second pick for me is my current top main, and Tahm Kench is, or sorry, my top main right now is Tahm Kench. And the idea with him is just like a big body. I know we're drowning in big bodies a little bit right now, but I think after, getting Akali and getting Senna and a bunch of other, smaller, faster characters, I think he'd be cool. You got a big tongue, basically like Blitz S2, right? Probably not usable in the air. He's more of a grounded guy, especially given that like in League he's also pretty grounded. He's like when he ultimates, he can't like he can't flash away. He can't do whatever if he's ultimating a enemy teammate or enemy character. I would like him to carry over his passive from League in some way.
Okay.
Like when he licks you, he stacks this mark on you. I don't really know how the licking would work. Like maybe his heavy is his tongue and on the S2. I don't know. But 2 moves that do it, and then licking them after the stacks will cause some kind of minor or major reaction in 2xKO. I don't really care which one. And then he has his W in League is that teleport that he can aim. He can aim it. That's the important part. So I think in 2xKO it would be cool if he had like a close, medium, and long range one. And the long range one doesn't go full screen. It would if people are standing full screen, the long range one would pop up right in front of them. But he can aim it and then do cool combos with that. So if he's in the corner, he can do the close one. If he's mid screen, he does like medium or far depending on what combo he's going for. I think that could be pretty cool. Yeah, and I just think his aesthetic is awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
the New Orleans catfish style thing is just it's such a vibe.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I want.
Yeah, no, I agree with Tahm Kench. I think that also a lot of people want Tahm Kench in the game. I've seen a lot of people
He's so
online
cool,
like
man.
commenting like put Tahm in the game because also he's kind of
He's
like
so
a weirdo
cool.
character, right? Like a lot of people want more
Yeah, exactly.
weirdo characters in the game, and he
I want a monster,
aesthetically is
yeah.
for sure a weirdo. Like it's for sure in that
Completely
category.
agree.
Yeah. So I like the pick.
Totally.
My second pick is Sylas. For me, the explanation of why you should put Sylas into XKO is very simple. Like Sylas is essentially a Scorpion plus Sub-Zero. Like it's a character with chains that is like lore based on an ice topic. So it's literally like the MK ninjas put
Is
into
he really
one
in
character.
lore? I don't know.
Yeah, like
I don't know Sylas's lore. Is he really?
no, no,
Okay.
I don't know also much like deep into the lore, but some of the abilities that Sylas does in League use ice. So, and in that sense, like Sylas is quite literally the two MK ninjas, Scorpion and Sub-Zero kind of mix, and you could make a character that is so like culturally easy to kind of like understand all the references, and I think that it would attract a ton of players into the game because Mortal Kombat is a huge franchise, right? It's one of the biggest fighting games in the world. And also Scorpion and Sub-Zero are some of the most beloved fighting game characters of all time, even by people that don't play fighting games that much, right? And the other thing is that Sylas moveset could be very, very interesting, right? You can have like the chains to pull people kind of like Scorpion, right? You could also have like poking with the ice in the top of the chains, like he does in League with his Q. And the other thing is that Sylas can also steal like enemies' abilities, right? So for example, you could do some sort of thing with his moveset in which his level 3 does actually something with the enemy super. And for example, you steal like the enemy's super and then you use it in some unique way in your combos, right? Or something like that.
Sure.
I think that would be very, very unique in terms of like gameplay design and how you can translate like the ultimate from League into XKO as well.
Totally. And just correct my memory, he only steals ultimates in League, right?
Yes,
Or does
yeah,
he steal...
he only steals the ultimates, yeah.
That could be expressed in any way. They could make it steal an actual move if they wanted to, but yeah.
Yeah, or you can make, for example, that Sylas level 1 is stealing the enemy level 1 instead of having his own, right? And that could change all the combo routes depending on the matchup. For example, if you're playing against Warwick and you get like Warwick's level 1, like the Claw Super, you can get longer combos instead of if you had like Brahms level 1 and stuff like that, right?
Right.
So I think that it could be very unique. Yeah. It's like very culturally easy to understand if they do like the right visual references, and it could be a big hit in my opinion. I think that it's kind of like those characters that can be like a protagonist type of character and bring a lot of people in. So I think that Sylas could be really, really good for the game in terms of like the branding or like the public image of the roster.
People love Sylas. He's popular. Yeah,
he's really popular as well in the League. Like I think he's at like a top 10 pick character in the game.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, in the same logic that they put Caitlyn in the game, I like the pick too. I think the S1, like the not S1, but like a super is the way to go. That would be really cool. I could also see some way where they like you use the super and then he immediately transforms back, kind of canceling the end lag. So you could like use the super mid comp, like you said, Warwick Slashy super. Maybe he transforms back right after and can combo off of it or whatever. I think that's like super cool.
Maybe he has like the ability to special cancel the end of the supers and things like that, you know.
There you go.
Yeah. So I think that it's a very good character. Like everything that you can do with Sylas, in my opinion, is like the coolest shit that you can put in the game. So I think that he would make for a very good addition to the roster.
Yeah, so my next one is my man Aatrox. I made him for a long time top lane as well. For the basic, I mean, he's just cool, man. But at the same time, so we got, like, if I want to get into it, we got Rekkas, which is awesome, like sweet spot Rekkas, where you have to really like space yourself from the enemy.
Yeah.
And then the other one, the big one, is just the install ultimate. Buffs him in a few ways. I don't really know how it would buff him, but goes on a timer, goes away on a timer, and the timer would pause when he gets tagged out. That way his assist, I assume one of his assists would be like one of the Rekkas as well. So he goes, you tag him out, he maintains the buff, and his assist somehow gets better. I don't know. I know his Rekka doesn't get better in League from the install, but I just think that'd be a cool mechanic. And then, I mean, I could even see them buffing him in a way where like tagging him out and back in resets the timer, like Golden Frieza in Dragon Ball.
Oh, okay, nice. I didn't think of that actually.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. But that's all I really have on him. I think
Okay.
the rest of his kit is cool. Like he has the dash. He could
Yeah.
be kind of like what you said with Renekton, where he's like a little bit slower, but he's got that dash. He can reposition his Rekka with the dash, so like
Yeah.
you press S1 and then S2, and he like zooms in with it. And then obviously like the CC from his, I don't know how they would implement that, but the CC from his W, I think would be really cool.
It could be like a set
Go
play, I
ahead.
think, tool. For example, you could use the W
Yeah.
kind of like a set play on Oki, and like you just put the W when they are, you know, like standing up, and if they press, they get hit by
Right.
the W, or they have to eat like the plus
And
frames for
just
the W, stuff like that. I think it could be very cool. Yeah.
and watching them scramble as they're like, oh
Yeah.
fuck, I got hit by the W, gotta
Yeah.
run. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like yes, you can't get away from me. I think that'd be a sick, yeah, gameplay fantasy.
No,
for
yeah. I
sure.
mean, I think that Aatrox is also a really cool addition to the game. One thing that I think about when I think of Aatrox in 2XKO is that, like, I mean, Aatrox Ultimate nowadays is like a stat boost, right? He has like more stats and more damage, and he also like heals more, if I'm not mistaken. But in the old like Aatrox days, he would revive with the ultimate. So you could make some
For real?
really, yeah. So you could make like an insane take, maybe from like the Ultimate Marvel 3. He has like, okay, maybe Aatrox is Phoenix, and like you have Aatrox as your
Damn.
anchor, and like if you feel like in a specific set of conditions, Aatrox like has a different ultimate, and he resurrects if he dies as the anchor of
That'd be
character.
nutty.
That would be insane. I think that's a lot of people would hate it actually, but I think that
Yeah,
it's a
probably.
pretty interesting idea with what happens with Phoenix
Kind of like
in Marvel.
a modern Zaheen thing, or Zahen, like the newer character Zahen.
Yes,
I like
yeah.
what you're saying. It'd be interesting if they pull from like previous iterations of a character. Like characters have gotten reworked over the years in League.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take.
Then my third pick is Lux. Okay, this is a pick that I mean, from like personal reasons, I wouldn't even put it here, but Lux, in my opinion, is one of the like the public mascots of League. Like if you ever play League of Legends
Right.
in your life, you probably played Lux at least once. Either like playing support or mid, but like Lux is one of those characters that you cannot escape, like playing at least one time. And Lux in many ways can have like the same public image as a character that kind of like Caitlyn or Teemo have, right? That they're like insanely famous. They're like part of the brand of League as a game. And the other reason why I would like to see Lux in the game connected to kind of like this branding stuff, right? Like this public image character is also that she's a spellcaster, right? She's a magician. And there's nothing like that in the game at the moment, actually. So it would be pretty cool if you add someone like Lux into the game, which is a very big famous character that anyone from League is actually going to recognize instantly. And at the same time, you're actually adding a completely new archetype to the game. And you could make her, you know, I mean, there are so many different like spellcaster or magician style characters in fighting games, but you could make her
Right.
kind of like a Guilty Gear style character, right? Also kind of like a Blaze Blue slash, you know, Melty Blood stuff. So there's a lot you can do gameplay wise with the character to make her really unique. She could have like a ton of set play, a ton of mid range and poking. And the ultimate, for example, like the big, could be like a pretty good animation. So I think that when you think about Lux as a character, and she can kind of like attack multiple fronts in the game, like very public image for the game, super famous, new archetype, decent like maybe set play based character, which we also kind of don't have at the moment. Like 2XKO doesn't have a set play character really. We have like a lot of
Right.
characters that have good Oki, but that is not set play. They're very different things, right? So that's kind
Right.
of
Yeah,
my
it's like
arguments
Caitlyn and
behind.
Teemo, like you said, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of like
Yeah.
my
I think
arguments behind Lux in the roster.
Nice. And not to get like meta with it, but she sells skins, man. Like if we like
Yeah.
Ari right now, just the skin factory
Yeah.
showing mid drift, upper thigh. I'm not trying to go there. I'm just saying
Yeah.
Lux could do it too.
No, I mean Lux, I think is probably one of the characters in League that sells the most skins, and she has so
Yeah.
many. Actually, it's insane. She has like over 20 skins or more probably. So yeah, like Lux will also be like a big money,
Lux would go
a big
hard.
money bag for the game.
Okay, so my next one is I think a fan favorite. Yone.
No,
I mean, does anything else really need to be said? But,
Yeah.
basically, Yasuo button like not his exact buttons. I mean like that kind of vibe. You
like
know,
mid-range
big,
character.
yeah, like big buttons with like he's got that his W, that huge slash. His sword, like he could have like a single hit Hasagi type thing as well. I think the really interesting thing with Yone, it would be the way that he uses his, like, whatever they translate his E from League to, could be on like his S2, dashes him forward and leaves behind the recall point. So it's kind of like a mixture between what I said earlier with Pyke and Echo, where like he
Mm,
has that clone or whatever back there, um, but it stays still, whereas Echo moves along with
yeah.
his like shadow or what have you, and so Yone would be able to recall to it, would basically work yeah like Echo clone, but it won't move with him, and he can only return to it once. There's nothing he can do to just like zip around and keep going. I don't imagine he would have invul when recalling like Echo does either. But I think the thing that makes it really interesting is that just like in League where he recalls, it you're out of the fight at that point, right? There's like really nothing you can do. So I think that would be an interesting way, interesting expression, I guess, because like
Okay.
you could like do the S2 and do this really cool combo, but then when you end it, you're going back to full screen whether you
Yeah.
like it or not, you know? So it'd be like an interesting way to balance it where he can't just like stay on top of you, or he uses it as like you know, in pressure to cross you up in great
Yeah.
sandwich pressure, and then it's just like
Yeah.
you're done.
He would have to kind of like choose between like, for example, higher damage, mix-up potential, and stuff like that, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So like I imagine maybe you try to get them to the corner and then use the S2, you know,
Mm.
or something like that. So you're not just full screen, or call an assistant handshake. I don't know. There's other way, you know, assist can mitigate, but this would be like a very clear weakness that he has. And then I think the last bit would just be like some kind of expression on him stacking for his, maybe not even stacking, because like he also doesn't stack anything to get his shield or whatever like in League. So just some way for him to do like a dash that pops you up. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Maybe that's even his super. I don't know. I just think like that has to be somewhere in his kit. But I think the big one would be the E expression. Yeah.
Yes.
That's my pitch on.
Okay, no, I agree. I think that Yone is a very popular character as well. Like, it's one of the most popular characters from like the newer characters from the last years. The other thing also about Yone that I find interesting is his W, actually. Like this kind of like sword that he uses to pop a shield. I think that that could also be interesting in 2xKO because, for example, you could create some sort of mechanic in which you can use the W in between combos, and when the combo ends, sorry, when the combo actually finishes, you maybe have like a small shield at the top of your health bar. And for example, you have like a small amount of like protection if they hit you, or they get like a combo on you if you mess up your offense or something like that. So that could make him like a more defensive oriented character in the sense that you choose like to have the shield instead of maybe dealing more damage, you know, and stuff like that. I think they could be relatively unique because if you think about it also, at the moment, like most of the characters in 2xKO don't have a defensive base kit. Only Braum kind of has
Right.
that like identity
And, like,
because of his ice shield,
Blitzcrank
right?
with the armor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like for
Totally.
example, I think that it could be interesting to add into the game because it could give like more deepness into like the play styles that you can have inside like the gameplay
Right.
loop of the game.
Yeah, and we really don't have expressions on like Warwick's the only one that heals and is
Yeah.
locked behind Bloodlust, and then I think having a shield, like imagine if Yone is like a 900 health character, but he can get a little bit of a shield now and again. I think that
Yeah.
would be really interesting. Yeah.
Okay,
Nice.
so my fourth pick, it's Fiddlesticks. Okay, Fiddlesticks. One of the reasons why I want him in the game is because to me, like Fiddlesticks is the weirdo character that you should put into XKO from League. Like he's just like so thematically perfect for a game as a weirdo character. For example, you could literally like do a Halloween event on 2xKO and drop Fiddlesticks in that event and stuff like that.
Oh man, that would go so hard.
Yeah, I think it would be very, very cool. And then the other thing is that Fiddlesticks, like thematically speaking, I would also say could be so unique gameplay wise because he has like this concept, right? That it's not like he damaged you in League. It's like he actually does damage in League to you because he's scaring you. So I think that
Right.
that could be really cool, like conceptually speaking, when you design the gameplay of the character. And for example, you could create these situations in which like Fiddlesticks, it's like a fighting with you on the mid range, and he hits you with his E on League, which is like this kind of like cut that is like a scream or like it's trying to scare you. And then if you get hit, you get like on a big hit stun, you know, situation, and then he can dash and do a combo on you and stuff like that. So I think that it could be very unique. You can make it like a mid-range monster character, you know, and with this concept that every time that he like scares you with an ability, he gets an opportunity to maybe start a combo or something like that. The other thing also that I would find really interesting about putting Fiddlesticks in the game are his clones, because in League he puts like clones as wards, right, to have vision. But in this game, for example, you could put the clones as setups on Oki, and then you have to guess in which side he's gonna be, kind of like what Faust does on Guilty Gear, right? With some of his special moves. I think that could be also
like
very
put the
unique.
Scarecrow out.
Yeah, I think that it could be really interesting to put the Scarecrows as like a set play / Oki setup.
I like that. And I could also see the fear working like a Sindel Scream from MK, where it just makes you like walk, I don't know, actually do what it does in League, I guess, and walk away just for like a second.
So I think that he's a really good addition to the game, kind of like as a true 100% weirdo pick.
So my last and maybe least, actually, I think I put her last for a reason, is Irelia. Just I do love, I love her aesthetic, the floating blades. I mained her for a long time on top as well, but yeah, the floating blades and just the dashy aspect of her is like she's extremely mobile, which would be cool down the line if we need another mobility champ. Maybe not right now, but and then I just think she would look really cool in the 2xKO engine. And then her like stun, setting up set play. Like imagine where you're doing a combo, you throw down the first blade like mid combo, you end the combo, throw down the second blade, and it cuts off like their back roll and their neutral get up, and then you only have to worry about one roll, something like that, like an Ari, Ari Oki situation where you only have to, you cut it down to just worrying about one option. I think could be really cool, or just, I don't know, catch them meaty everything, I don't know. And then not the damage reduction, I don't think she gains armor or whatever, but the damage reduction when she charges her W in League could be interesting defensively. I could see it working kind of like a, like a Braum shield or a blitz armor on his grab. I just don't know how OP that would be on a super mobile character. And then my last idea would be how to express her ultimate, because it's her ultimate in League, but I think it should be a super in 2xKO, where like right now Caitlyn has her S2 super, like the Aegis reflector thing where she can pop you up off it. It'd be cool if she Irelia supers you, throws down all these blades, and then can interact with them in the combo. I think that'd be really cool. But then just make her ultimate a cinematic, and I don't really care about the other super. But yeah, that's my pitch on Irelia.
Okay, and my last pick is Lee Sin. It's kind of like the most normie pick, I guess, for my list, with Lux. But well, the reason why I want Lee Sin is very simple. It's just that he's like Lee Sin is quite literally the fighting character of League, right? Like he's a martial artist. He's literally a guy that is blind, but it still fights with martial arts. It's quite literally like the power fantasy of any fighting game protagonist in many ways. So I think that Lee Sin is kind of like that character that you need in a fighting game. It's kind of like your Ryu or your Ken. And even though in 2xKO you have characters like Echo and Yasuo or Ari that I feel are like the Ryu and Kens of the franchise in the game, I still feel like there's a space to put a character like Lee Sin that is a true like Ryu character, and he could literally be like the 100% Shoto of the game, because he has a fireball, right? His Q is essentially a fireball.
Right.
The only thing that is unique is that he can travel with it when he hits you. So that would be like a specific addition to like the archetype, right? He also has like a mid-range like ability with his E, and then his ultimate could be like a combo fodder ultimate. Like for example, there's a lot of fighting characters that use supers to do combo extensions, not end the combos, right? Like Kim and King of Fighters, right? He does his level 1, like the kick launches you, and then you do an extension with a combo. And I think that you could also do it with Lee Sin. Like his level 1 could be his ultimate in League, and then every time that you do a level 1, you get like an extension in your combo, right? So I think that,
and would it like blast them back the same as
for example, you could be like doing your combo, and then you have a bar to do a super. You do the kick that is the ultimate in League, and you get like a wall bounce. You know, Lee Sin kicks you get a wall bounce, you get like a specific extension and something like that.
I can dig that.
So that's kind of like the main reasoning why I want Lee Sin is mostly like this idea that he's just Ryu. He's just Ryu and Ken, right? He's like the Street Fighter protagonist that maybe the game could have that could be interesting, and also would kind of like fill this spot. I think for a lot of people that don't have a main in the character, I mean, that don't have a main in the game right now, and that they really like normie characters. You know, I know that there's a lot of people that play fighting games that like your simple, super overpowered protagonists, and that's okay.
Yeah,
right?
true.
So
That's okay.
And I think that 2XKO doesn't really have that at the moment. So
I agree. Yeah, it's like Darius, I guess.
Kind
but
of, yeah.
Not really. Like, yeah, we don't really have like a Ryu, like you said.
Yeah.
It'd be really interesting to see if they implement his ward hopping in any kind
Yeah.
of way. Because, like, you know, Teemo walking into a bush isn't actually part of his kit, but they made that part of his kit in 2XKO, right? So it'd be really cool to see if they, I don't know, he somehow throws out a ward and can teleport to it or something. Like, I don't know. Like, that'd be really, really interesting.
The last thing we have is a small section of honorable mentions. You know, characters that we maybe wanted to put on our list, but we didn't add them at the end. So
yeah, really quick. Jin, because he's just a vibe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. He's so cool, man. His lore and everything. Rek'Sai, because monster character with like a, I don't know, her kit is just awesome. I don't know how they make her work because she's like really long, but whatever. Diana, cool moon lady, and like another cool like female representation. And then Vlad, low health with like a heal mechanic. I think that would be really, really cool. Like where he uses his health but can get it back. Yeah.
From the ones that I have, well, the first one that I have is Asir. I think that Asir could be really cool also in the game. I've also seen a lot of people asking for the character, you know, with the sand soldiers and all of that, and kind of like this idea that maybe you can put the soldiers kind of like a puppet. And that's something that the game also doesn't have. We don't really have a puppet character yet. So it could be Asir filling that gap. Then I also have Mordekaiser. I think that Mordekaiser could have very easily make it into my list. I just didn't add him. I don't know why. But Mordekaiser, to me, the reason is to like force the 1v1. I think that is very interesting to put a character on a tag fighting game that is like, no, we're not playing a tag fighting game anymore. I think that that's very interesting and unique. And it kind of forces people to deal with a playstyle that is not the most common thing in the game. So it could be very unique. And I would really like to see like Mordekaiser's ultimate in the game. The other one that I have is Viego. Okay, Viego, kind of like a similar, I guess, argument as to why Sylas would make it, like stealing abilities. But the thing with Viego is that he actually steals your basic kit of abilities, not your ultimate. So, for example, you could play Viego and mid combo, you can maybe choose to transform into the character you're actually comboing, and you can start using their normals and their special moves. And then by the end of the combo, you have to go back to like your regular form or something like that. I think it could be very, very interesting and super cool looking, like visually speaking. And the last one, it's gotta be Kayn. I would really like to see Kayn in the game. I think that Kayn with like the double transformation could be a very unique character. You know, you could have like your base character, and the more that you play, you get the orbs, right? And you can choose if you go like assassin for like a more quick character that has more mix-ups and stuff like that, or for the Rust version that is more like a tank, maybe like a character with armor. I think that could be very, very cool, very unique, and super interesting to
interesting.
add.
Yeah, I love that pick. Bang! I almost wish we made this longer and talk in depth about all of these. But yeah, those are some good honorable mentions.
That was, the discussion. I hope that you guys liked it and you enjoyed it. The idea was kind of like talk about at the end of the day the future of the roster and the picks that we would like to see in them with all of these arguments. And obviously, there's still like a lot more to go with 2XKO in the future. So we might see a ton of different characters in the game. So thank you for watching. Thank you, Ivan, for agreeing for this and making something together. I appreciate it. And well, see you on the next one, guys. Take care.